Vakratunta Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Matre Namaha. Namaste everyone. In today's session, we will review the Nama Raga Svarupa Pashadhya. In the last session, we reviewed the Nama Chatur Bahu Samanvita, the one who has four divine hands. The next four namas worship each of these four divine hands and the Ayudham or the weapons that are held in each of the four hands. If you see the shlokas, upcoming shlokas, shloka 2 and shloka 3, we currently are going to start with Raga Svarupa Pashadhya, that is this session. The next one is Krodha Karangusojvala, which is this one. Manorupekshu Kodanda, which is the sugarcane bow, and the Panchatanmatra Sayaka, which is the five flower arrows. So the next four namas describe each of the hands and the weapons in each of our hands. That is how much it is special. These in this session we will start with what is held in the first hand, the very first hand, Raga Svarupa Pashadhya, the one who holds desires in the form of Pasham. Notice how Vasanyadi Vagdevatas have specifically placed the four hands of Ambal, Raga Svarupa Pashadhya, Krodha Karangusojvala, Manorupekshu Kodanda, Panchatanmatra Sayaka, the four divine hands holding four very special weapons. Vasanyadi Vagdevatas have specifically placed the four hands of Ambal even before the Keshadi Pada Varnana. See, usually we start from the head all the way to the Padam. That is how the Varnana of Ambal will be. That is also going to happen, but before that, even before that, we can see how Vasanyadi Vagdevatas, as soon as we think about a form, first they are describing the four hands. Then we can imagine how very powerful these four hands must be for Vasanyadi Vagdevatas to place these four hands first before even they begin the Keshadipada Varnana in the subsequent shlokas. So let's get started with Raga Svarupa Pashadhya. There are three major components in this nama. First is Raga, the next one is Swarupa, and the third one is Pashadhya. Let's take the first component of Raga. Ragam. Ragam is the desire. It's the iccha. It's the attachment, right? This Ragam is not just from this birth, but it just gets accumulated in us even from our previous births. It is called Vasanamaya Shariram. So let's try to first understand what is this Vasanamaya Shariram. Every deity has at least three major forms. Okay, it's called Stula form, Sukshma form, and Vasana form. Just like the deity, every jiva also has three forms: Stula form, Sukshma form, and Vasana form. Let's take about the jiva like us. We have a Stula form and a Sukshma form. The Stula and Sukshma form in each one of us is made up of Panchabhutas, right? The physical form that we can see, or the inside form, that is we are made up of. We are made up of Panchabhutas. This is one part. There is another form which is called Vasanamaya Sariram. It is the form inherited from Purva Karmas, Purva Janmas, from our previous births. What is this Vasanamaya Shariram? In order to understand that, let's recollect the story of Jada Bharata. There lived a great king called Bharata. In fact, the entire Bharata Varsha is named after this king, Bharata. King Bharata ruled for many, many crores of years. After that, he decided to leave all the riches and all the marble palaces, and he just thought he has to pursue spiritual path. So he literally decided to leave everything and renounce everything and go to forest. That's what the great King Bharata decided to do, to pursue spiritual path. Bharata started correctly by renouncing his throne and becoming a rishi. So he went, what did he do? He went to a serene place near the mountains, far away from humans. The once famous king has now become a Raja Rishi. Raja Rishi means like he's a great sage doing severe and sincere tapas with austerities. This is how he started. One day in the forest, he saw a lion chase very fastly a deer. The deer was fully pregnant. The natural care for the deer as the mother deer was to protect its baby. So what it did was, while jumping, it tried to jump over the water, trying to run away from the lion. Right? Lion is chasing, the pregnant deer is running. So it didn't want to just get caught and the lion eat itself along with its baby. So the deer wants to go super fast than the lion. So what it did was, it just quickly jumped over the river that was running from one side to another so that it can run away and protect its baby. So, in the jumping process, sadly, the mother deer delivers the baby in the water itself. It was running so fastly. So, the mother baby fawn, the baby deer, is delivered in the water itself. And at that time, the mother deer happens to breathe its last, it dies. The king, our king, Bharata, his ashram is nearby, and he's now seeing the baby deer. All along his life, crores and crores of years, he has been a king, right? Now only he has become a Rajarishi, but until now he has been a king. As a king, he has been caring for all the beings in this kingdom. So as soon as he saw this baby fawn in the river, his natural instinct was to care for the baby deer. So what he does, he goes to the water and he picks up the baby deer and he gets very attached to the baby deer and he cares for it very sincerely. This he takes it to his ashram. Now, the sage, since he's living in the forest, he could have left the baby deer along with the other group of deers, right? Because in the forest there are lots of deers. So he could have taken the deer and put it safely along with the other rest of the deers that are in the forest. But what does our Bharata do? The sage, he chose to care for the little baby deer all by himself while being awake and even at night. So every time, all day and night, he's taking care of this deer. See, now recollect what happened in the story so far. Even though Bharata renounced his entire kingdom, he renounced all his desires. He had a beautiful palace. He had a beautiful kingdom. He ruled. He's the ruler. He renounced everything. He renounced all his attachments. He left all his family. He left all his kids. But what happens? He comes to the forest, and as soon as he sees this baby deer, he gets attached again. Right? The Raja Rishi somehow now falters from his path of renouncing attachments. The days go by, the little fawn slowly grows up. Day and night, the Rajarishi cares for this fawn so much. Even while he is doing his yajna, the Rishi would turn back and check often with this little deer and make sure that the little deer is okay all the time. And like this, he was caring for the deer so much all through while the deer was going. Now it's time for Jada Bharata to take his last breath. Even during the last breath, the rishi was only thinking about the deer, and he was thinking, until now I have cared for this deer so much. After that, what will happen to this deer? Who will take care of this deer? How will the deer be protected? So even while breathing his last, Jada kept thinking about the welfare of the deer and the deer all the time. So that desire to protect and get attached to the deer is deeply imprinted in him. So when he took his last breath in the next Janma, the Rishi who had denounced everything was again born as a deer itself. They say whatever we think in the last minute, right, that goes as our next Janma, right? So here, Jada Bharadar, who was thinking about deer all the time and having that Vasana, that that imprint and that attachment and that desire towards the deer, he had to take a rebirth, and his desire on the deer made him have another birth. Hence, a Vasanamaya Shariram happens because of the desires accumulated from the previous births. That is the part of the story that we need to understand for understanding this Nama Raga Svarupa Pashadhya. This is called Ragam, the desire and the resultant attachment that binds us. That's the first part, Raga Swarupa Pashadhya. In that, the Ragam is the desire and the attachment, right? Because of the desire to protect the deer, he got so attached to, and there is a bind, right? That attachment binds us. That's what happened to Jada Bharata towards the deer. That's called Ragam. That's the first part of the Nama Raga Svarupa Pashadhya. Now let's understand the term Pashadhya, right? Pasham. So here Ambal is coming out of the Chitagni Kundam, and Ambal gives darshan in a form, right? So the Nirguna Brahman is now taking a form as a Saguna Brahman, right? So Ambal gives darshan in a form, very very beautiful form. Vasanyadi Vagdevata see this form, and they all see that Ambal has 4 arms, 4 hands, right? 4 hands, 2 at the back. That's what Chatur Bahu Samanvita we saw in the previous Nama. Ambal gives darshan with 4 hands. And in the lower left hand, Ambal holds a weapon called Pasham. Pashadhya. Pashadhya is one who holds the Pasham. Pashadhya, and hence we say Pashadhya. Pasham. What is this Pasham? Pasham literally means a noose or a rope, if you will. Rope is the stula form. When we see the Vigraham of Sri Lalitambika with 4 hands, Sri Rajarajeshwari's form, we can see in one of the hands she holds the noose or the pasham. The pasham is the form of a rope, right? It's the stula form. Stula form means that which we can see with our eyes, right? That's the stula form. That's the rope form that she has. But the Vasanamaya form of that rope, the reason for holding that rope is to control the Ragam. The Vasanamaya form of the rope intended is Ragam. Now let's put together the Raga, the desires from previous birth, with this Pasham, the physical aspect of the rope. So Bhashyam gives some explanations related to this. It says, our eyes and ears looks outside and identifies a form and records the form of the seen object in our mind. It says, I want this, I want that type of desires. When we see something, there is an imprint of that object seen in our mind. That's called Vasana. Not just from this birth, right? In this birth we say we like this, we like that. I want a sofa, I want a chair, I want a car, I want a bike. We say all this, right? That is in this Janma. That's also true, but this also comes from our previous births. Just like we saw how Jada Bharata was attached with the deer. Any asad, any desire that we have from previous births also comes as imprints with us. It just gets stuck with us, right? So we are recording whatever we see as objects in our mind permanently. With these objects, we also record our likes and dislikes. Based on our shariram, we have either experienced shukam or dukkam with each of these objects. At that time, whatever gives us happiness, we had ragam or iccha towards those things. See, if we like something, we have iccha, right? We have attraction, like the attraction of Jada Bharata towards that baby deer, right? Which if we have a shariram and we have experienced a happiness out of it, shukam out of it, that attraction, that is called attraction towards the objects or beings or things. That is something that happens to our shariram, the vasana shariram. And then those which we do not like, that's called repulsion or it is called krodham or dvesham. That which we do not like, we move away from it, right? So that's called krodham or dvesham. So in general, two things can happen based on the things that we see. Either we will like it and get attracted to it, or we may not like it and we may get anger or dvesham or repulsion towards that object. This attraction and repulsion is deeply ingrained inside each one of us. This vasana continues with us. The attraction, repulsion, that kind of a vasana continues with us even in this janma also. Hence, this birth is called Karana Shariram. Karana means like what is the reason for me to take this Shariram? Some are inherently very soft spoken, some are inherently very dominant. Like how did I get that Karana Shariram? It all happened not just from this birth, but what I have accumulated so far. So it's called Karana Shariram. Otherwise, it's called Vasana Maya Shariram. What we bring from all the previous births also. And what we do in this birth will get accumulated towards the next birth, right? That's why we need to find a way to clean up our balance sheet, right? So this birth is called Karana Shariram or Vasanamaya Shariram. And it is made up of two things. Raham, if we like something and desire, and Krodham, if we don't like something. Right? These two are the aspects highlighted in this Nama and the next is Nama. So if you see the Namas, we will see Raga Svarupa Pashadhya. Raham is the desire or the attraction towards things. Next Nama is Koda Karanguzojvala, right? The Krodham. That Krodham comes out of repulsion. If we don't get what we like, then it results in Krodham, right? Anger. So those are the two aspects that are related, that are mentioned about this Nama, right? So Ragam is the desire and the resultant attachment that binds us. Pashadhya, Pasham is the noose or the rope that is representative of that attachment we have on objects. Right? If we like something, we get attached to it. That's the Pasham aspect of it. And that is represented by the noose or the rope. The rope is the one that is used to tie, right? That's why they say it's the representation of that attachment that we have over this Janma and any previous Janmas. So those are the two components, Ragam and Pashadhya. Now let's go to Swarupa. This Ragam stays with us for over years and years, and even for births over births. Right? When we surrender to Ambal, she controls and directs our desires through her iccha Shakti. That is the Swarupam. The desires in Ambal's hand is called iccha Shakti. Sri Bhaskar Raya states that this Nama itself is so powerful that it represents iccha Shakti of Ambal. That's the Swarupam. Devi's desire is the iccha Shakti. Right? That's a very special thing that we have to remember in this Nama. There are some more special observations that are being mentioned for this divine robe. So let's review that also. So if you have a rope and if it is like a flat rope and you're holding just one side of a rope, then you cannot go and grab something out of that rope, right? So what should we do? We should have to hold both ends of the rope, right? See how Ambal is holding. She's not just holding one side, but she's holding both sides of the rope. So Bhashyam mentions about this, holding both sides of the rope. The reason why we are holding both sides of the rope is that if you have to grab something, we have to kind of like make a loop, and like throw this loop on something that we want and bring it, right? That way you can pull it closer to us. That's why Ambal holds both the ends of the rope or Pasham as Pashadhya. Bhashyam says one side of the rope is what we desire and the other side of the rope is rounded up to make a positive effort to get that desired fulfilled. And that's why Ambal holds not just one side of the rope, but she holds both ends of the rope. If you have to bring something far, that's very far, a desire that is very far, closer to us, what would we do? We will hold both ends of the rope, make a loop, throw the rope on the object that we want to, and we pull it closer to us. Just having desire alone is not sufficient, right? So one side alone is not sufficient. We need Ambal's iccha shakti to help us fulfill that desire. That which is far away for us to reach, Ambal can easily use the Pasham by holding both the ends and bring it closer to us. There are a few more observations on this Nama Raga Svarupa Pashadhya, which says that so Ambal has 4 arms, and in each 4 arms she has a weapon. The weapons are not to destroy, they are to channel us to get us to the correct margam. Her grace will not only give us the desire. Pasham is the one that controls the desire, the ragam, right? It's not only going to just to give our desires, but it will also give us fulfillment of the desire. Right? You should feel fulfilled when our desires are met, and that's the speciality of Ambal's iccha shakti in this Nama Raga Svarupa Pashadhya. If it is any ordinary desire in our hands, it will only cause a repeated cycle of getting more desires and more desires and more desires. There will not be fulfillment. For example, say we aspire for to get a cycle. Once we get a cycle, our desire is fulfilled, but we forget most of the time what we already got. Then we'll say, "Mhm, cycle is okay, but I need a car." We'll decide for something more. Once a car comes, will we stop there? No, we will not stop there. We will decide to go say, "This is an ordinary car. I think we need to have a more expensive car. We need to have a car with fancy features," right? So it'll go on and on and on, and our desires does not stop. But so Bhashyam quotes an example from Srimad Bhagavatam to say how our desire is like a seed that sprouts from another desire, another desire, another desire, whereas Ambal's holding our desire are like well roasted seeds. So we'll review that next. So Bhashyam says, a desire with our effort is a seed that sprouts another desire. Like we saw here, cycle doesn't stop. We'll get a car will more fancy car. And then we will say, I need something more. I need this attachment. I need that. I need to fly now. I don't want to drive 8 hours. I want to have a flight ticket. Like it goes on and on. The endless desires happens, and because of the endless desire, not everything gets fulfilled in the same janma. So it goes from one janma. So we keep saying, oh, I really desired this, what happened for this, right? So it goes to endless vasana marga sharira, and hence endless rebirths. This is if the desires are within our hands, right? The ragam, if it is within our hands. But if the ragam is controlled by Ambal's action, what happens? The desires bestowed by Ambal's grace, on the other hand, are like well roasted seeds. See what happens if the seeds are well roasted? More desires will not spring up from the roasted seeds. Only a general seed can sprout another desire, whereas a well roasted seed does not sprout another desire, right? A roasted seed will itself become a good meal by itself, right? That means like fulfilled desire. It'll be giving you fulfillment. When we surrender to Ambal, all we need is her grace. So this very special hand with the instrument called Pasham is the most celebrated, the first celebrated of the 4 hands. And the Adhishtana Devata for this Pasham or the noose or the rope is Ashwaruda Devi. Ashwam means horse. Aruda means one who is mounted upon the horse, the rider. So Ashwaruda is the one who is mounted upon the horse and who rides it. So Ashwaruda is the Devi who is the Adhishtana Devata for this Pasham. So Pashatya, Pasham, right? The noose, that the rope that is held by Ambal, the Adhishtana Devata is Ashwaruda. Why is horse being used? Horse is used as a reference to our senses. Hence, Ashwaruda means the rider of our senses, the controller of our senses. To summarize, Raga is the desire from various sources that's carried on for several births through the Vasanamaya Shariram. Swarupa is the original form of the desire and is held in Ambal's hand as the iccha Shakti. Pashadhya, when we surrender our icchas to Ambal, her divine grace in the form of Ashwaruda Devi will help us control our desires and direct us in the correct path. Hence, Ambal holds the Pasham as Raha Swarupa Pashadhya. That is this Nama. As next steps with Acharya's blessings, let's review the next Nama in Lalita Sahasranamam. Loka Samasta Shukhino Bhavantu. May everyone in the whole world be very, very happy. Thank you so much, everyone.